What is going on, Sports Wars? We're here. We're live for a big Sunday. NFL playoffs are now officially in full swing after the big slate of games we had in the wild card round. Divisional round is underway. Had a nail biter last night with the San Francisco 49ers. And Lamar Jackson, I guess all it took was getting paid, and he finally showed up to play in the fucking playoffs. And also, big UFC 297 in Canada. Sean Strickland loses a really close match. And, of course, Dana White had some things to say to the woke media. We're going to get into all that stuff. But before we get started, Malcolm Flex back again. What's up, man? How you doing?
Feeling pretty good, man. Feeling pretty in purple. As you know, my Ravens, they did the dang thing. I hear Lamar Jackson, had to sub in for quarterback, switch out the running back spot, and he put up some good yards. So all good today, boys.
Yeah, that elite passing of Lamar Jackson, like 15 for 25 for 125 yards, really showing what he can do. But of course, obviously they had that game in control in the second half as well. It was close though. That first half, they did not look very impressive. Then they really started moving the ball in that second half. So we're going to get into that for sure. Fear the Beardo. What's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, man. Yesterday's games, very good, very exciting. I mean, the Baltimore one kind of got carried away there in the second half, but man, very entertaining games. But I think today's slate could be just a little bit better. But I'm excited to be here and talk about some sports with you guys.
That's right. And we got John Matrix from Black and White Sports. What's up, John?
What's going on, everybody? Good to be here. Yeah, that was pretty brutal in the second half for the Texans, but their future is looking very, very bright.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much for the Cowboys, but that's a question mark.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. This is the first time you've been on since
talked.
The Cowboys lost. Isn't that we gotta might as well talk about that now. It's been a week since it happened. But John, we just saw the Packers, lose last night. But before they lost, they were able to once again take care of the Cowboys. I believe the Green Bay Packers have more playoff wins at AT&T Stadium than the Cowboys do.
Yeah, I believe the Cowboys have. Do they have 4? I don't remember because I know Dak has
2. I think they have 2 wins.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Yeah, 2 wins. Aaron Rodgers has 3 there, and now the Packers have 4 total. Yeah, that's crazy, man. That's really wild right there.
So as the Packers fan on the panel, how do you feel about Jerry Jones' decision? Sorry. Yeah, Cowboys. How do you feel about Jerry Jones' decision to hang on to Mike McCarthy for at least one more year?
It's bullshit. I mean, I was wondering, I was like, why is he waiting so long, man? And the thing is, what makes it so much more frustrating is that you have probably the most quality coaches you're going to have on the market for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
Belichick out there, Harbaugh out there, Mike Vrabel out there. Who else?
Mike Vrabel. You call him
Mike
Vrabel.
Like
it's Vrabel, whatever you want to call him.
Like it's a combination between Mike Vrabel and a fucking Jewish dreidel or something.
Anyway.
Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, and who else? Oh, Pete Carroll also. Mm-hmm. And Jerry's like, nah, he has the highest winning percentage in Cowboys history. I'm like, wait a minute. What does that even matter? His playoff coaching has been horrific.
Well, here's the thing. I've said it to you before, John. Jerry Jones ain't going to bring anybody in that's going to outshadow Jerry Jones. The Cowboys is the Jerry Jones show. And why would Jerry Jones get rid of Mike McCarthy when Dak is clearly the problem? It's Dak. Dak fucking blows.
Well, Dak didn't give up 48 points. He gave up 14 of those, okay? He gave up 14 of those.
He did.
Even though one of them didn't count. Yeah. But the defense all of a sudden started playing zone when they played man all season. I mean, the coaching was pathetic. Absolutely pathetic, man.
And I think you guys might as well just bring old boy, what's his face? Your old offensive coordinator.
Well, the thing is,
out of Boise State. What's his name? Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore. He went to the Chargers last year, right?
Yeah, he should be your head coach.
We know that Jerry is ultimately the problem because he's the owner. He's the GM. He's making all the calls. We know that. But man, Jerry Jones, obviously, he's not opening up his eyes. What is he seeing in Mike McCarthy that I'm missing?
He's easy to control.
So, well,
Outside of that.
So to look at it from where you just said he's got the highest winning percentage in Cowboys history, when you do look at the team, when you look at the team in the regular season, they've played pretty fucking well while he's been there.
Yeah,
they've had some crushing playoff losses. Here's the question:
Jerry Jones, Jerry and Steven really know how to draft. They can get talent.
Here's a question: if the 49ers had lost last night to the Green Bay Packers, right, and we continue to see these incredible regular seasons out of the 49ers, and they're only able to get, they can't get past the NFC Championship round, you fire Shanahan?
Well, they did get to the Super Bowl too not long ago, but that was a Harbaugh though.
Right?
But still,
No, they went with Shanahan. They lost to the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's
You're
right.
Yeah,
That's right.
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
It's true with Garoppolo.
That's right. They've been able to make Super Bowls. The Cowboys, one and done for like the past almost 28 years.
Yeah.
I mean that's
pretty much
pathetic.
the meme, though.
Well, they won one playoff game a few years ago.
Dak's won 2 in his life.
They
right?
won
Won 2 in
last
his
year.
entire life.
They beat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers last year.
Yes.
Yeah, Dak has won 2 playoff games, so
Yeah.
which is more than
Romo won 2
he's the
also.
only- yeah,
And
in the
before
past-
that, they didn't win ever since Aikman and those guys.
Emmitt Smith and
Yeah.
that whole crew.
So the question is Dak sort of at that point where Romo was, where we say, okay, you've been pretty good to us, but I think we're going to finally let you go off the green.
It won't happen. It won't happen until they draft somebody that's going to prove to replace Dak. It's the same thing with Jerry Jones, man. He's not going to get rid of Dak until he's drafted somebody, when he's brought his own guy in there that's going to shine in the preseason, and then he's just going to kick Dak to the curb like they did with Tony Romo.
Yeah, man. I guess I better go look for whoever falls in the 4th round. I think Joe No Touch Milton might have something going, man. But that's just me. That's just me being there. But it's funny because if we look back at that Green Bay game, like Dak had about 60 pass attempts. He put up 400 yards, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions. But what sticks out?
garbage time, yeah.
I know,
garbage time.
I know.
Yeah,
The game was already over.
was over at halftime.
But what sticks out here though is the rushing yards. Like they literally got rid of Zeke and said, no, Tony Pollard's our guy. And Tony Pollard only had 15 carries for 56 yards. Like the balance was not there. Jordan Love, he diced, let's call it spade. He diced y'all up for almost, 300 yards and 3 tutties, but they had 118 yards on the ground. Like Aaron Jones was doing the thing. So it's like, it just seems like the play calling balance ain't there.
Yeah.
I don't know what Mike McCarthy is, 100-yard receivers are, that's nice and sexy, but there's no reason that CeeDee Lamb has more targets than you have carries from your bell cow running back.
Well, what I'll say is that like that game's kind of a little bit of an outlier because they were down fucking 27-0.
Yeah.
So at some point, they're just throwing and throwing and throwing. Dak had 60, pass attempts, but overall, Tony Pollard had a very bad year. A really bad year for Tony Pollard. Not what they were expecting. Zeke's fucking fuck Zeke. They should have got rid of him a while ago.
They should have got rid of him before that. I don't mind him being gone at all. But Mike McCarthy, I've been saying this dude should have been fired. Remember when in the playoffs against the 49ers, they ran the damn ball with no timeout to Tony Romo? I was like, what the hell are you doing? He should have been fired for that. And also a few weeks back.
He means with Dak.
Mike McCarthy should have been fired for that. And then a few weeks back against the Lions, Mike McCarthy was horrible with the play clock. I said, man, I would have fired him if the Cowboys weren't in a playoff position, even though they won that game. That was no excuse for that clock management.
Well, even a few years ago when they were in the playoffs, I think it was against the 49ers too. Didn't they spike the ball at the end of the game with no time left on the clock?
Ooh.
They tried to down the ball, stop the clock, but really there was no time left on the clock. And when he downed the ball, game was over.
No, I believe that's when not Tony Romo. I keep saying
Dak.
Tony Romo. Dak ran the ball with no timeouts, and they tried to place the ball themselves without the refs. That's the same game.
Okay.
That's the same game.
There's been so many Cowboys failures, it's hard to keep them straight. But yes, so obviously we may as well push that into what we saw last night in the NFL. We had 2 games. We had the Ravens and the Texans, and obviously Lamar Jackson, there's been questions around him in the playoffs. He got a shit ton of money in this offseason, and the Baltimore Ravens struggled in that first half, were able to roll in the second half all over DeMeco Ryans and that Texans defense. And CJ Stroud looked bottled up. They really were not able to do too much on the offensive side of the ball. The only touchdown they scored was that kickoff return, that punt return early on.
Yeah.
So the Ravens just decimated them. But I think for everybody, you got to look at the Houston Texans, how quickly they turned around that team with a new head coach and a rookie quarterback. And you're like, holy shit, that's going to be a scary team.
I would not be surprised if the Texans actually make the Super Bowl next year. But I'm going to say this about the Ravens. They ain't winning no damn Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson's not a passer, man. All that running. We've seen running quarterbacks all the time. They make Super Bowls, and then they get exposed in the Super Bowl. He shouldn't even be the MVP.
Is fucking good, though.
The defense is damn good. You're right about that.
Defense.
That defense is damn good. But Lamar Jackson running around, man, nah. I don't think that's going to get it done. He shouldn't even be the MVP, man, at all. I don't know how in the hell they made him the front runner. Going into last game, he had 19 touchdowns, 7 picks. And
13
then he had
and 3, number 1 seed, man.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Christian McCaffrey should have been the MVP. Well, we'll see when it comes out, though.
Yeah, CMC is honestly, CMC has done more for the 49ers than I think anyone can even fathom. Like,
yes.
I can't imagine what their season would have been like without getting CMC. Like, and he's the perfect Shanahan running back, to be honest. Like, you look at how that whole team is constructed. But definitely want to end around to the Lamar Jackson point. Normally, quarterbacks that run don't do very good. But Lamar Jackson's a little bit different of a runner, though. Like, he's slippery. Like, it's not like, they're running out calling quarterback powers and, just like, spamming the read option like that, like your little brother that you finally let play Madden for the first time. Like, they're not doing that. It's just every time he sort of slips out, like, it's just hard to contain him. And it's like pass plays turn into that. Now, that being said, though, I kind of agree. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl because they don't have, basically Mr. Reliable. That Mark Andrews connection. Normally, all the teams where you see a good running quarterback, excellent defense, they've always got a reliable tight end that they can go to in the middle of the field somewhere. They don't have that. So, the question that we got to ask is, like, what are they going to do if Zay Flowers suddenly picks the drops? He suddenly gets the drops, he's back up. Odell Beckham's being triple covered, and they have, like, literally nobody else on the edge. Because that's part of the reason why the passing stats suffer so much. And Gus Edwards, he benefits from being 6'1", 250 pounds, but still, like, if Lamar ain't doing his thing, Gus Edwards, he's not getting off. So what do they do?
Yeah, like that. The thing is, what they've done with Lamar over the last couple of years is really tried to limit the amount of times he's running, right? Make sure he can run and he has opportunities to run, but really limit that from happening.
Mm-hmm. Didn't he run for 100 yards yesterday?
He had 10 carries for like 100 yards. Yeah. And one of them was like a break off of like, 40 or 45 or something.
He had 2 passing TDs, 2 rushing TDs. He had himself a fucking game last night, man.
Yeah. But that defense is like the fact that the Bears ended up giving up Roquan Smith, who I think is probably the best fucking middle linebacker in the league right now. The fact that they gave up Roquan Smith for fucking nothing, basically, just because the Bears drove him out of town is so embarrassing. But now he's there, and he is if you watch him play, if you just zero in on Roquan Smith on that defense, it's pretty phenomenal to see how he pursues the ball, how much faster he is than anybody else on the field at times. It's wild. And he was able to chase CMC down, or not CMC. He was able to chase Singletary down right before he broke a big one. And everybody else is just kind of lollygagging out there. And he fucking zooms through after coming from the other side of the ball. And he's awesome. He's he's the middle of that defense, and they need him there. But the Baltimore Ravens, it's going to be a great game, whether it's the Bills or the Chiefs. We'll see.
It really scares the shit out of me that they somehow have a defense that has 2 DB-sized linebackers and Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith that are like literal ball hawks. But then in secondary, they still have big ass Kyle Hamilton lurking, who can literally play all ends of the field at any time. Like that's just I don't know how the hell they did that on defense. Then they got Jadeveon Clowney, who, I mean, that dude is a freaking monster when it comes to like stopping the run. So like you're not running on these boys at all. And I mean, look at Singletary. The man had 22 yards out of 9 attempts. Like I've seen games where Derrick Henry doesn't even get off the bus where he can at least crack 22 yards. And like that's saying something because, man, like what do you do against that defense? Like how do you stop them?
Yeah, you just got to not go away from the run, right? You can't let that offense get out to a big league and force you into passing situations. You have to have a good balance with them. But like CJ Stroud, again, this is a rookie quarterback. He didn't have any turnovers, but I do think he was a little bit maybe scared. I think he was being a little bit too conservative with that ball to not turn it over. So I really think you just got to, especially when you're playing the defense like that, not saying throw it in another guy's hands, but you got to be willing to trust your guys and sometimes throw up a 50-50 ball. We didn't see too much of that from CJ last night. So I think maybe that's one of the reasons. But then go ahead, Beardo.
No, they just weren't aggressive. They weren't aggressive. And it's like we've seen Houston, especially in these playoffs, be super aggressive. But I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was the cold or it's just, we're going in here. We're this young team. We're going against this high-powered, this very strong defense, number 1 seed. These guys have been – and plus Baltimore's been rested. That defense was fresh. And usually when you see like with these number 1 seeds who get a week this week off, the offense comes out a little rusty, and we saw that with the Ravens. They were a little slow to get off, but that defense was fucking fresh, man. And that, translated to the 49ers as well, too. Their offense, they couldn't really, there was some weird drops. Like Kittle had himself a drop, and he was wide open. You don't see that happen. So I think the Ravens next week, they're going to be, in game shape again.
Yeah. Well, and then the really good game we got last night was Packers-Niners.
Yes.
That game was scores were hard to come by in that first half. You had 2 field goals from the Packers. You had 1 touchdown from the Niners. And then it was in the second half we started seeing blow by blow by blow. They started going back and forth. And it all comes down to, Niners get the ball with probably 4 or 5 minutes left, something like that. Start taking chunks of time off the clock. Brock Purdy, CMC start marching down the field, and eventually they get in the red zone, it just under the 2-minute mark. And for some reason, after they picked up that first down, the Packers did not call a timeout, which I think was very foolish of them in that time with how close they were to the end zone. They let the clock run all the way down to like 1 minute and 10 seconds. And then CMC bullies his way into the end zone, like the play right after. So the Packers end up only having about 1 minute left to get down the field. Still had all their timeouts, still was potential to do it. But Jordan Love, the spirit of fucking Brett Favre took over, and he threw across his body just into traffic. And it was a big mistake, interception. Game is over right there. But the game itself was great.
Well, fucking Dubes is down there somewhere, right? That's the whole thing. Just chuck it.
Yeah, he did chuck it.
The big thing that happened before that 49ers touchdown, that CMC, rush up the middle, was that missed Packers field goal. Because if they made that field goal and the Niners score that touchdown, it's still a tie game. You force this game into overtime. But that missed field goal was crucial.
And wasn't there there was a blocked field goal earlier as well, right?
I think so.
The Packers blocked the Niners, right?
Was that right before halftime?
It may have been. It may have been right before halftime. But at some point, I think both teams missed a field goal at one point. But yeah, certainly. Obviously, a block is a little bit different than just a straight up miss. And, Purdy, I think it should be pretty clear at this point that Brock Purdy does not like it when it's raining. He doesn't seem like he's, I don't know. Maybe it's, I don't know what his hand size is, whatever. He doesn't seem comfortable when it's wet out.
Well, and you saw he started the game with a glove on, and then it wasn't working, and then he took the glove off, and he still wasn't comfortable back there.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of balls sail on him a little bit. A lot of balls, like there could have been a couple picks in that game which they were like just lucky enough that a Niners receiver got a hand on it and like tipped it enough to fucking throw off the ball that the Packers weren't able to come away with those picks. So Purdy did not play great for a lot of this game. Deebo Samuel, as soon as Deebo went out, that offense looked vastly different. And I'm sitting there like screaming at my television, like, throw the ball to somebody other than Christian McCaffrey. Like it seemed like every fucking play was a little drop off or a dink or a dunk to Christian McCaffrey for several quarters of this game. And I mean, he took a beating. He did what he could. He moved them down the field. Christian McCaffrey's fucking amazing. But Deebo out really affected what they were able to do. They finally started getting some other people involved in that, third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, and CMC got banged up too. He had like a quad or a calf injury, or maybe it was both, and he wasn't really like truly back to being really effective until that last drive.
Yeah. Christian McCaffrey had a huge touchdown, man. That was a massive run he had. Was third quarter, I believe, when they were kind of going back and forth a little bit.
I think it was.
I remember.
It was third quarter because I think it was. I think you saw George Kittle kind of break a tackle and bust off like a 30-yard reception, and then I think the play right after CMC kind of busted up the middle and goes like 40 yards or something like that. Yeah, I don't know exactly what it was, but I believe so.
Yeah, no, that was, I actually thought this was going to be a George Kittle legacy game after, Purdy had that beautiful tud that he threw to threw to George Kittle, but it's kind of like he disappeared for sort of the rest of the game. And when I sort of look at the distribution, I don't think that the Packers really expected for let's just say, call it what it is, for Brock Purdy to dink and dunk to great success on that last drive, and for Christian McCaffrey to suddenly like get the postseason spirit, because I mean he doesn't show up in postseason, so it was just a really explosive ending. And let's kind of go back to the Shanahan offense. When you look at the Shanahan offense, that's really what I think Kyle Shanahan wants them to do, is just to basically take short yardage pass and turn it and yak it up and just continue to do it. And it's just like he did that.
Yeah, I think that they're able to put it all together. And Brock Purdy, to his credit, a lot of doubts about him, and I think rightly so. Whenever you have a guy like that who's drafted in the 7th round and comes into this team that's massively talented, right? When you got the question is, if you don't have Kittle, if you don't have McCaffrey, if you don't have Deebo Samuel, what does this team look like with Brock Purdy as quarterback? Mm-hmm. Would Brock Purdy even be an NFL quarterback if he didn't happen to be on this team in this system? Those questions are going to be out there for a guy like that.
And they're valid.
And he stepped up to the plate when he had to do it with Deebo Samuel on the sidelines. He led him down the field, game-winning drive in the rain, which he's clearly not comfortable in. So Brock Purdy did exactly what he fucking needed to do for that Niners team. And got to give credit to the Packers, though. Packers and Jordan Love have been playing really well. The thing is, they have been in playoff mode for the past several weeks of the season. They had to win to get to 9-8 just to get in. So they have been kind of in that playoff mode. Jordan Love has played pretty fucking well. He lit up the Cowboys, obviously. And man, that Packers team almost came in there to San Francisco and ripped their hearts out.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones looked good too.
And they were trying to make a statement, man. Like when they went for that 2-point conversion, they knew what they were doing. They knew they wanted to go up by, at least by a field goal. And then that missed field goal, man, it just freaking heartbreak. Or I think they went up by 4 points so that the Niners needed a touchdown. But Jordan Love, man, he's been playing really good football. And like you said, it was pretty much win or go home. They needed to win out to make the playoffs, and they needed a little bit of help too. And man, the kid, Jordan Love, he's been playing good. He was great last week, and he was good in the first half last night, and then just kind of fell apart, man. Fell apart in the second half.
Aaron Rodgers special, baby. It's like they got Aaron Rodgers without any of the attention-seeking theatrics. So, hey, that's a win. And really, if I'm Gunakunsk, I'm kind of happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's flashes, man, where Love looks exactly like Rodgers, but like you said, without all the antics and stuff. But Shanahan just has LaFleur's number, especially in the playoffs.
It seems like it. But I do think that LaFleur this season was very much hey, I'm not just like a product of Aaron Rodgers, right? Mm-hmm. This offense can work without Aaron Rodgers. and with Jordan Love. So I think he proved himself this year to some people that were asking that question as well. But let's catch up with some of these super chats before we get in the games for today. Zenny Biscuit for 5. Thursday's horse racing Eclipse Awards. Hoping Cody's Wish gets Horse of the Year. Also, I've never wanted the Bills to win more than today. Thank you, Zenny Biscuit. Chris Coran for 2. Sports Wars is absolutely amazing. Let's go Bucks. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Lulu Blue, member for 28 months. Big Z is free. BBN. Big Z is free. BBN. Thank you, Lulu. Chris Coran for 2. Correct, John. He meant to say the Cowgirls. Oh, that's right. How dare we?
Don't misgender them.
Giga Mango Fanta for 5. In the spirit of Chris Rose, do you think Patty Mahomes is going to ride that D in the game against Buffalo, or will he blow away a W to Joshy Boy? We're going to talk about that game next. Don Howe with 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, Don. And then Dom H follows it up with 20 gifted memberships. You guys are fucking awesome. Bunch of new members in chat today. Cole Hauser for 5. Morning, y'all. Beardo, great time on egg roll last night. Go Bills 199. Praise Allah.
Shout out.
Nick Walsh for 2. Broncos beat down Scam Newton at Super Bowl 50 to prove a point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Econ Ease for 5. Don't worry, John. NFL MVPs don't win Super Bowls, just like whack old college coaches don't win bowl games, doggone it. Hashtag fire Ryan Day.
Well, Mahomes won last year, though.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time in a while, though, I think.
Yanks fan for 199. Strickland got robbed. Montreal screw job part 2. We are going to talk about UFC in a little bit. I don't think he got robbed. I do think that there's a good argument that he won. It was a very close match for sure between them. So we're going to talk about it. WG for 20. How about them Winnipeg Blue Bombers, eh? I don't fucking know what you're talking about, WG, but thank you for the $20 gifted membership. And for the 5 gifted memberships. And then Bert for 26 months. Did you see Simone Biles' husband getting manhandled? I must have missed that. I know Simone Biles is very upset that she doesn't get more attention than Taylor Swift for some reason. Can't imagine why. Simone Biles, obviously, probably the most accomplished female gymnast. But Taylor Swift is like the most popular fucking entertainer in the world. So I think there is a little bit of differences between your fame levels there. And also a difference in fame levels between your husbands. So
true.
Maybe that's why you don't get as much attention. I couldn't imagine why. But we do have to talk about the games that are on the slate for today. We got Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers heading up to Detroit. These tickets were insane. I think the average ticket price was like $1,000 there.
That's what I heard too. That's crazy.
Like the highest average ticket price for this round, certainly. But Detroit, man, people in Detroit are excited that they get to watch another playoff game after winning their first in over 30 years. And man, you can't take anything away from what Baker Mayfield has been able to do this year with that Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. But what do you guys see, Malcolm? What's your feel for this game today?
Honestly, I mean, the magic is going to really be there with Baker Mayfield this time. And you know what? I get a lot of flack for talking about the Baker Mayfield cycle, but I got to say, like, his offensive coordinator, I forgot what his name was, but the system that he really runs has just, and yeah, you can say I'm calling Baker Mayfield a system quarterback, but the system he runs really does just sort of, cup your QB by the balls and just sort of leads them on and, just lets them make the easy plays. So it's sort of like, I want to have faith in Baker Mayfield, but I mean, Jared Goff and the Lions, like, Gibbs is just, he's a force of nature. Goff doesn't have to play out of his mind to really put up big yards. It's really hard to see how the Buccaneers keep the magic going because, I look at it, it's like Mike Evans really, he's been great, but he's not necessarily himself. Like he's not the Mike Evans of old. So I don't know how they take the game over if Detroit starts getting on a roll. But that's just sort of me.
Yeah, what do you think, John?
Yeah, I can't believe I'm gonna say this.
Uh-oh.
We're living in a world where the Detroit Lions are going to be in an NFC championship game and not the Cowboys. I'm rolling with the Lions. There's something about this team, man. I mean, they're definitely on the high. Respect what Tampa Bay actually did last week. The Eagles are frauds. I knew that they were frauds anyway. But
I mean, the Eagles got beat by the fucking Giants. All right.
I mean,
let's not pretend
the Eagles
like,
had like a 1-7 finish. I mean, they completely collapsed. Man, I can't believe that though. I can't believe that I'm gonna say the Lions are going to the NFC Championship game. That doesn't even sound right.
Are you saying the Lions are the real big blue, John?
What the fuck are we
hell
talking
no.
about, Malcolm?
Hell no.
Malcolm, what the hell are we doing?
I ain't going that
All
far.
I'm saying is Dan Campbell for president 2024.
Okay, I'm a big Dan Campbell fan. I love the way Dan Campbell coaches up his guys, man. And Goff looks like a completely different quarterback in Detroit than he did in LA. The dude has really developed and flourished under Dan Campbell. But I don't know, man. This Bucs team, there's just something about this Bucs team and Baker. He's got a chip on his shoulder, man. And it's like when Baker feels like he's got something to prove, that's a Baker that I don't want to play against. Like when he's cocky and he's, he feels like he's safe, he's under contract, whatever. Baker's kind of iffy. But this Baker, he's trying to earn a contract extension. He's got a chip on his shoulder. Carolina did him dirty. He showed some flashes of, playing good football with the Rams last year. Baker's been playing good, man. I wouldn't want to play this Bucs team right now.
Nope. So Baker still does not have that extension, right?
I know.
They didn't do that.
Yep.
Man, what if another team that was looking for a change at quarterback and I don't know, in Dallas, decides to go out there and go after Baker Mayfield?
I think Rhodes had mentioned that too, man.
Just saying. I can see it.
He's the new Fitzpatrick, isn't he?
I don't know if
he's not as smart.
The new Fitzpatrick, who was it? There's a new Fitzpatrick. Fuck. I'll think of
Sam
it.
Howell.
No, but with Jerry Jones, man, he doesn't go after vets. He is that narcissistic enough.
Yeah, he tries to draft them.
He wants to draft his own guys, and I can see Jerry Jones being like, our head coach McCarthy. Is there another McCarthy coming out in the draft? Oh, JJ McCarthy. That'll be easy to remember. we got JJ McCarthy, Mike McCarthy.
Think of the branding. We can put the signs up. Yeah.
We'll sell some T-shirts.
I look at this game and I find it hard to bet against Detroit. Just with I feel like the city, the crowd is going to be fucking insane. I like Dan Campbell. I think the team has turned into everything Dan Campbell wanted it to turn into. The question will be, in my mind, I think it's going to come down to a ballsy decision by Campbell that either works or fucking backfires. That's what I think this game is going to come down to. He's not going to go away from what they've been doing. He's going to play it exactly the way they played in the regular season. But I do think that the Detroit Lions are going to pull this out. Not to take anything away from Tampa. I think they've overperformed. I think they've overachieved. And I think this is kind of where it comes to an end for them. But certainly, this is a Tampa Bay team that I don't think we expected to get here after Tom Brady left. They went 8-9 last year. For Baker to come back in and them to go 9-8, I think that's a surprise to people. But they got it done.
But this Bucs team has a lot of playoff experience, and the Lions have none.
Well, they got one game.
They have one game, yeah, right.
And when Jared Goff has been to a Super Bowl.
This is true. Well, when I say none, I mean like damn near none. Damn near none. Like collectively as a group, they have damn near no playoff experience. But, obviously there's some players that they picked up who have playoff experience. But just as a team, they don't. But, yeah, man, I think this Lions-Bucs game has it in it to be maybe more exciting than this Bills-Chiefs game.
I was about to say, you think Aiden Hutchinson feasts tonight or what?
Yeah, I think he'll
play well.
He's going to be all like Aiden Hutchinson is fucking phenomenal to watch. I love watching that dude play football. He is he's after it every single play. And I think he's going to put Baker on the ground a decent amount today, to be honest with you. So
this really has been the era of like the great white pass rushers, man. You got the Bosa brothers, you got Aiden Hutchinson coming out. Like, who's gonna be next?
Max Crosby.
God, I forgot. Yeah, you got Crosby. What the heck?
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
we're making a
man.
comeback, man. We're about to have a white DB out there too.
Holy
Yes, I
shit.
know, hey, look, the bowl is on. The bowl game is on.
Who's the best fucking running back in the league? Like, we're taking over, man.
Christian
We're
McCaffrey.
taking football back. All right.
TJ Watt, I forgot about TJ Watt
Oh,
too,
man.
man. Dude, like y'all don't even have. It's funny, y'all don't even have to try it out. Like the he's a gritty lunch pail guy. You know, he brings his lunch pail.
He's got a really good motor, you
Man.
know.
Yeah.
So Ryan,
I've even heard that.
are you saying make the NFL white again?
Hey.
Yeah, listen, you guys have been so focused on fucking. We need more black
On
quarterbacks.
coaches.
We need more black quarterbacks and black coaches. We've been focused on every other position. All
Yep.
right, we're playing the long game. That's what's
Yep.
happening right now.
You guys can have the head coaching jobs. We'll take the players on the field.
Yeah, keep signing Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson, these fucking
love
$250,000,000.
Prescott.
Hey,
He loves the league, boys.
Go for it. Like, sign those
Hey, man.
guys.
Hey,
Go for
hey,
it. We're taking everything else. over.
Dak is white, man. Y'all can have him. He's white.
No.
God.
You know
Yes.
what? I was going to say something, but I'm
He's
not
half
gonna
white,
say it.
man. He's half white.
So it's Patrick Mahomes. That don't stop you guys
Yeah.
from taking him.
Yeah,
you talking
no,
about?
no, no.
I'm not a Mahomes fan.
This is like the was that Chappelle show where they were doing the freaking race drafts and everyone was fighting over Tiger Woods. But anyway, the big game once again. Chiefs and Bills find a way to meet up in the playoffs. Josh Allen versus Patrick Mahomes, and
Yeah.
this is a stunning reality. But this is the first time that Patrick Mahomes has ever played a playoff game on the road.
And
He's
Really?
only ever played at home or on
Or in the
neutral
Super Bowl.
site for a Super Bowl. He's
So-
never played on the road in his entire
So when they
career.
played Tom Brady and the Patriots, that was in Kansas City.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Man, it's been a while. I don't even remember.
Yep.
Man, amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
Insane, man.
I'm gonna say
Insane.
this, man. I've been calling the Chiefs frauds like all year. I believe last week was a perfect storm for them. Literally a perfect storm. I mean, the Dolphins, Tua, in that kind of weather, man, they were done. The Bills
not
are
even
going
in that
to-
kind of weather. Literally just the Dolphins playing
Yeah,
a team that's
yeah.
above 500. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how they look. But yeah, go ahead.
This Chiefs team is offensive frauds, man. They cannot score points whatsoever. And I pretty much buried the Bills earlier in the season. I was like, man, this team is done. Then they have been on a roll. I am rolling with the Buffalo Bills by 2 TDs in this game.
2 TDs.
2 TDs,
I do like the
28-14.
Bills. I do like the Bills at home. The Bills, ever since they had to win out, they've been playing spectacular football. Josh Allen hasn't been making too many mistakes. I think that this is the Bills' game to lose. If Josh Allen plays a perfect game, I think this is Bills all day. This Chiefs team, they don't know who they fucking are. This is not the same Chiefs team that we are used to seeing.
Nope.
They can't catch balls. Travis Kelce's mind is in other places. They got this Taylor Swift curse, and Patrick Mahomes. They're just not playing. I know it's Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to bet against them, but they just don't seem right, man.
Yeah.
But this Bills team is scary right now too.
Mahomes has thrown almost as many interceptions as Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen has like 2 more interceptions than Mahomes.
I think this is a career high in interceptions.
Yeah,
for
it's career
Patrick
high
Mahomes
for
this
Patrick
year.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
He's
Now,
earning it.
go ahead, Malcolm.
I was about to say he's earning that contract, but no, the Chiefs are a defensive football team. I think you're wrong on that one, Beardo. They know who they are. They play good defense now.
Chris Jones, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I heard Kadarius Toney's not going to play, so that is the worst news the Bills could have ever had. Kadarius Toney's usually worth at least some points to that other team, so him not playing is actually probably good for the Chiefs. But it's tough, man. These guys have played a lot. We literally had overtime rules changed because of the Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen matchup in the playoffs a couple years ago. And this is the first time the Bills have had home field advantage. I picked Niners and Chiefs in the Super Bowl at the beginning of this fucking season. So
You got to roll with it, huh?
I got to roll with the Chiefs, but you got to have a heavy dose of Isaiah Pacheco. It is supposed to be pretty cold. I don't know how windy it's going to be. Cold doesn't seem to bother the Chiefs, to be honest. It gets cold in Kansas City. They played cold games. Who Who knows what the wind will be like? I haven't.
So I looked
really
at the
seen
forecast
anything.
yesterday. It's going to
Okay.
be 14-mile-per-hour winds at game time.
So it is gonna the wind will be a
gonna be windy.
factor, but
Little
it's
bit.
not gonna be oppressive or crazy or anything like that. So it will
How
be
cold
a
is
factor.
it going to be?
Like 3 degrees.
21
or something.
degrees.
Holy shit.
Oh, that
That's
ain't
actually
bad.
kinda
With that wind,
warm.
it'll probably feel like it's in the teens.
Yeah, that ain't bad. So that'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't
That's
think
nothing.
I don't think Patty's as affected by the wind or the cold. I mean, they're not a deep ball offense anyways right now, so it's not like he's throwing deep to anybody.
yeah, we
Both these
literally
teams
just
are
saw the
used to-
Chiefs play in 30-degree wind chill. Like,
Yeah.
sorry, negative 30-degree
Negative
wind
30,
chill.
yeah.
So I think they'll be okay when it comes to that. But it's going to be a hell of a matchup, man. This might be finally the time that Josh Allen breaks through. I will say, ever since we heard that Sean McDermott had used 9/11 terrorist as like a motivator for the Bills, they haven't lost
forgot
a
about
fucking
that.
game, man.
I
Nope.
He
forgot
just
about
got
that.
pictures of the Twin Towers up there, like motivating his guys, like you can do it too.
Oh God.
Yeah, that's what you got going on in the Bills
Man.
locker room, and so
Yeah.
far it's worked, man.
One of the towers has Lamar Jackson's face on it. And the other
I
one
would
has,
have not
Patrick
made
Mahomes.
that analogy.
Put him in
Yeah.
a Chiefs and a Ravens jersey.
He's like,
Come on, boys, pass off that switchblade. You got to get it going.
he's
Come
like,
on.
"Hey, here's the
Communication.
fingernail clippers. You get them." Like, so for you guys that don't know, Sean, there was a story that came out from a couple years ago that Sean McDermott had to make an apology to the team after talking about how, the terrorists on 9/11, they had to be so coordinated, do all these things at the right time. They really had to work together as a team. And he was trying to use that to tell his players they all have to be on the same page and communicate more. People
What
like,
the
wow,
fuck.
that's a pretty fucked up that's a pretty fucked up analogy.
Yeah.
Which, whatever. People wanted him fired for it. Fuck that. Don't fire somebody for a stupid analogy like that. But ever since that came out, they have not lost a fucking game.
I wouldn't have
Which is
fired
funny.
him, but I would have laid into his ass for that, man. That's just horrific.
He probably got
They
to
broke
talk
it
to.
down on a hot. They broke it down on Allahu Akbar. It's better than Rex Ryan's.
Yeah.
Let's go eat a fucking
Because
snack.
if there's one thing, man, everybody knows exactly where they were at the time those towers were hit. I'll never forget that day.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. We got Game On Podcast. What's up, Will? For $20
Shout out.
over on Rumble says this chat better hope Tampa Bay doesn't win today. I'll be peacocking next stream if they do. There you go. Beardo and Will did a little preview video for these playoff games. How did the results for the first two go? Looking at that one.
So we figured that Houston was going to keep it close. That didn't happen. And we figured that the 49ers were going to win and blow out the Packers. That didn't happen. At least we got the winners correct. But the way the narrative went for both games, we might have, been we had them flipped. But we'll see how we do today. We both felt like for the Lions and Bucks, we feel like this is going to be a shootout. It's going to be a fireworks show. And the later game, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be ugly penalty-wise, but I think it's going to be lower scoring than people think.
I did want to push back too. I saw like some people talking about like hockey league refereeing or like officiating Patrick Mahomes, and people like Patrick Mahomes is 8-2 in his career with this referee. Like the fix is in, and it's like, when you take Patrick Mahomes' career record as a quarterback and you kind of simplify that down, he's 8-2, like on average against like anybody. You know what I mean? Like that's just he wins about 80% of the games he's been in is throughout the course of his career. So the fact that he's playing against a referee that he's 8-2 in his career in isn't fucking a shocker, and isn't even like
Great
outlandish at all.
QBs have pretty good winning percentages.
Yeah, exactly. Let me
ESPN level commentary.
yeah, so I saw a lot of people complaining about it. All right, where are we? Where did I leave off? Mike Hill, member for 35 months. What does Tomlin need to do to get a Super Bowl?
They need a quarterback.
Well, yeah, he needs to have a team that's not mediocre.
Yeah,
first of all.
astonishing that they won 10 games. He may be the coach of the year.
Like that's the thing. They do need to fix the. I can't believe what they just came out and said. They came out and said they're going to get a new offensive coordinator and that Kenny Pickett is going to be the number one. Like,
That's ridiculous.
After everything we've just seen, like that's what the Steelers are going to do moving forward. Like really.
To be fair, getting rid of Matt Canada may actually make Kenny Pickett look like an average quarterback. Let's be real. I got to be optimistic here. That Matt Canada offense is god awful, man.
They did that like that one fucking game, right? And they like huge game, like that Kenny Pickett actually threw for like over 200 yards or something. People are like, whoa. But then the next game it was like right back to the same old shit. The fact that Mason Rudolph came in there, still probably has fucking brain damage from that time Myles Garrett fucking conked him with that helmet, right? Like half retarded. Like Mason Rudolph just comes out there and slinging the ball all around. Like that should tell you that, like Kenny Pickett, I don't know if you want to put all your eggs in that basket moving forward.
And before that Myles Garrett incident, remember there was that one time he got knocked completely unconscious on the field, and they had to unscrew his face mask. And when they picked him up, he was like all cross-eyed and shit. Didn't even know what fucking day it was.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Generational CTE. Oh god.
Oh yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, that would be all right. The reason I think Eli was unaffected by that is Eli Manning is already like half retarded, so it didn't matter like how many times you hit him in the head, like no effect. That's why
he was the perfect quarterback for New York, man.
It makes
man. They tried going with somebody that looks somewhat retarded, somewhat on the spectrum, and Daniel Jones, but I mean, it just doesn't capture the full Eli, spectrum magic, man. It doesn't do it.
Let's see. Cole Hauser for 5. Sean Strickland's done more for Canada than conservatives here. Oh, and did I mention go Bills? Ryan, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in the CFL. Like I know they're a CFL team, but I don't know. Did they win or something? I have no idea like what happened with them. I haven't been following my Canadian Football League.
Dude, remember
Silver Cup or whatever the fuck they do up there?
Remember Chad Kelly? Chad Kelly, the from Ole Miss. Remember he had that story where he was drunken and he went into his neighbor's house and sat on the couch and he thought he was at his own damn home, and then he got completely exiled from the NFL. He went to the CFL and won their fucking championship. This was like last year.
It's a different world up there in Canada, man.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
What is the CFL championship called? It's the Grey Cup, not the Silver Cup, the Grey Cup. I was pretty fucking close for someone who doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, dude. Chad Kelly won that shit.
Job, Chad Kelly. John Falsetta for 2. Bill should send OJ into the booth with Taylor. Jesus. Like you look a lot like my wife. Let's see. Giga Mango Fanta for 5. Dan Campbell totally has that dad with a daughter build. The kind of which you better be nice to his little girl lest he fold you like a lawn chair. Bird Gang for 5. Eagles making no change on offense coaching wise. They're done for next year. Dude, I hate Nick Sirianni. I fucking hate that dude with a passion. Every clip I see of him like yelling at the fans or like being a cocky fuck, I just fucking despise that dude.
Well, what's crazy to me is how ineffective the Eagles offense was this year. And their offensive coordinator is looking for a head coaching job.
Yeah, he's like doing interviews and shit.
Dude, that's insane. That's insane. The Eagles offense was dog shit this year. And he's going to be a head coach candidate? That blows my mind.
It's literally like Steichen left, and he just left like the cliff notes to the offense, and he just says inside zone, Jalen Hurts running deep ball, and that's literally all they fucking ran this year. That's their offensive coordinator. But the league's gone crazy with like young offensive minds and offensive genius and all that stuff. Like it's give me a break.
It's tough to be an offensive like genius when shit. Someone's just containing our quarterback. We can't just get away with gimmicky like RPOs the entire time and let Jalen Hurts fucking get loose for 10. No, okay, they're actually gonna make him be a pocket passer. Well, he can't do that. But that's like the solution. That's what every single person did to the Eagles over the last half of the season. So they got to figure that shit out. He is not the guy. They paid him a lot of fucking money. Lot of fucking money.
Ryan, you see that the Bears are trying to go after Cliff Kingsbury to be their OC to try to lure in Caleb Williams to be okay with going to the Bears?
I did see that. Listen, I have my issues with Caleb Williams in terms of him crying, in terms of him painting his nails, like a lot of this shit. But when you look at his talent, like most people think that this is the most talented guy we've seen since Andrew Luck, in terms of just, quarterback potential. And then some people even put him like ahead of maybe like luck, which is wild to me. But
I don't see that. But
I don't necessarily see that either. But that's what a lot of talent evaluators are saying about him.
he gets
I
compared to
thought that was
Mahomes a
Trevor
lot.
Lawrence. That's the funniest shit ever. I thought that was supposed to be Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Well, Trevor Lawrence probably was the best since Luck. But like I saw some video that went, I forget who it was, but it was a guy who like went back through. Somebody just kept asking him about like the number 1 overall picks like for each fucking year, like that were quarterbacks, and asked if they would take Caleb Williams over them. And pretty much they went all the way back to like Peyton Manning as a prospect. He would take Caleb Williams over Peyton Manning as a prospect.
That's fucking insane.
And like all the way back to like Elway and shit. But yeah,
I wouldn't take Caleb over my boy Burrow. I'd take Joe Burrow if they were both at the same age, same college experience, and they're both coming out of the same draft, Burrow or Williams. I'm taking Burrow.
I don't like. But the thing is, for Burrow, we saw him have like one of the best college years we've ever seen.
The best,
right? Yeah. The best, until it may have been like broken a fucking year later by his other LSU quarterback, right?
Yes.
But what was his career like? Was he that highly touted the entire time? He also had incredible weapons while he was there as well.
Right.
So that was a lot of the argument for Burrow too. But anyway, I've said you need to move off Justin Fields. I've said it for 2 years. So even if that means getting Caleb Williams, if you got to do what you got to do and get Kingsbury there for it, I think that's the right call. I don't think you already, like, look what you've done with CJ Stroud, right? Coming into the Texans. Imagine if the Bears had picked him, right? Imagine if the Bears hadn't fucking, passed him and they picked CJ Stroud. Where would we be sitting today? And I don't think you can let another opportunity like that go by for the second year in a row and expect anyone to fucking keep their jobs.
Hypothetical here, and this is really hypothetical. What if the Bears move off of Justin Fields and he goes to Atlanta and Bill Belichick gets hired by there, and then Atlanta dominates the league? What happens then? Does that Caleb Williams
I don't know if Belichick goes after Fields.
No.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, I have heard that. I have actually heard that floated out a lot. That the idea of Justin Fields going to Atlanta and that they would be open to that. They need a fucking quarterback, obviously. Yeah, and I do think that like Desmond Ridder is just a really slow Justin Fields anyway. You know what I mean? Like, he's a dude that can't fucking throw and just ends up running a lot. So they'd be better with Justin Fields than they would be with Desmond Ridder, I think.
To be fair, Atlanta's going to be a hell of a lot better anyways, because they'll have a coach that doesn't have like a deep inborn contempt for using Kyle Pitts. And so, I mean, I think that's automatically going to make whoever goes there way better than Desmond Ridder this year.
Yeah, with Kyle Pitts and with Bijan Robinson, like they have a couple, great skill position players there, obviously. I could see that happening, but if it happens, it happens. I just don't think like with this team that you are going to see Justin Fields with the Chicago Bears team. I don't think you're going to see Justin Fields flourish that way. Now they're in a little trouble because, the wide receiver they got there, he really likes him. DJ Moore is all about keeping Justin Fields and they want Marvin Harrison to join him there. But it's at some point, I don't care if you guys are good fucking buddies. I don't care if he only throws you the ball and never looks at any other fucking wide receiver. You got to do what's best for the organization. So I don't know. That's how I see it. Anyway, Game On Podcast for 20. Y'all think San Francisco's having regrets sticking with Purdy after this year, not going after Brady? There's no doubt Brady would have covered the 10 points last night. Well, I don't know if Brady would have covered. I watched his last playoff game at Tampa Bay against Dallas. And I went in there with my Brady gear on, ready to see Dak choke again. And instead, I saw Tom Brady get, demolished in the field. But I see Jeremy fucking praising Cam Newton in the chat. So that's only because Jeremy's the one that bought that stolen laptop off Cam Newton. So that's why he actually loves Cam Newton in the chat.
Hidden lore.
Mm-hmm. WG for 2. Star Wars or Sports Wars panel. All right.
I was thinking Star Wars too.
Please put into words your collective excitement for the new Professional Women's Hockey League. Time for the WNBA to move the fuck over, right?
Is that a real thing?
Why not?
I haven't heard about
it.
I heard about that. I don't know. Like, to me, I don't know too much about it. So I don't follow hockey too closely anyway, but I can't imagine there's going to be a ton of interest in it, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it'll actually be profitable, unlike the WNBA. And in terms of Purdy, I think they feel comfortable with him. I'm just going to be honest. What we've seen from Shanahan with San Francisco is that it doesn't really matter who you throw back there at quarterback as long as it's not Trey Lance. Almost anybody else is able to have some form of success. But I think Brock Purdy is reliable. I think they trust his decision making. I think they like him as a leader. And I think they like the energy he brings. So, and he finally had a comeback win. So I don't think they regret sticking with Purdy at all.
He doesn't make very many mistakes. I mean, Garoppolo took them to the Super Bowl, but Garoppolo makes mistakes. Even Nick Mullins played good in that Shanahan offense.
That's what I'm saying. Like, literally everyone except Trey Lance, plays pretty effectively as the San Francisco quarterback, which is why I bring it back to what I said before. When you have those weapons around, when you have the Kyle Shanahan offense, like, people are inherently going to question like your core abilities. So I don't think that's something that we should be like, that's wild about people, doubting, what really is Brock Purdy. Those are questions that always come up when you're talking about, guys. People were wondering, what would Patrick Mahomes look like when Tyreek Hill left? And then last year, Patrick Mahomes put up an incredible fucking season, despite arguably his best wide receiver he's ever played with and the best one in the league, leaving and going to Miami. Now, this year's been a different story, but the year he left, didn't seem like they missed a fucking step, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. So that's why all those arguments are always out there about quarterbacks and who are they without this guy or that guy, and who's making the most out of talent versus who's got a stacked fucking lineup and are just kind of doing things that maybe other quarterbacks could be doing. Ian, hashtag let's go Bucks for 190 says, Allah Akbar, feed the pit, go Bills. Thank you. The Smoking Patriot for 5. Only reason why people would watch Women's Hockey League would be for the fights. Hey, I'd be down for that. Cowboy 1. Don't be surprised if a lot of calls go the Chiefs' way. The NFL wants Taylor Swift to be in the Super Bowl more than the FBI wants Biden in the White House. Listen, I picked the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, so I want him there too, just so I can say I was right, like for some stupid thing we said months ago. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Guys, we got to get into what happened in UFC last night. Obviously, a big title fight with Sean Strickland, who last time we saw him, he beat Israel Adesanya in what really was a kind of a shocking fight. Not a lot of people thought that he would, handle Adesanya the way he did, but Sean Strickland becomes the champ. And a lot of talk, a lot of discussion surrounding Sean Strickland for things outside of what happens in the octagon. But we did have a big matchup and a little bit of a controversial decision, a great fight between Sean Strickland and I don't know how I'm actually supposed to say Dricus du Plessis. I don't know how I'm supposed to fucking say your name. I'm just going to say Dricus, man. That's what I'm going to say because everybody fucking says it different. But the South African does end up winning in a split decision. Sean Strickland landed more blows. We saw Dricus with a lot more takedowns, a lot more control on the ground, obviously. Malcolm, you watched this fight. What did you feel about it?
Yeah, so I mean, I had already said that if this fight goes to scoring, it's going to be it's going to be a tough one, and I was definitely proven right here. Obviously, we have to weigh in the multiplier of the Drake curse that went into a lot. That's 700K worth of power there. That's a powerful curse, but the main issue here is that it's volume. Dricus, he was just throwing like nonstop overhands. Like I shit you not, I thought he was like literally like throwing overhands at his like hidden demons and all the doubters in his head. Like he wouldn't even be in range, he'd just be throwing shots in. The problem is with Sean Strickland's style, like he's over there and at the end last round he actually went to more of a Thai style stance where he had both his arms kind of embraced in a little bit of a guard, because I think he saw like Dricus was not letting up. Like that Philly shell was letting too many through, and when he got hit by the eye, he hit in the eye, that allowed 2 more takedowns. Like the first blast double in the second round, that automatically, gave that gave DDP quite a bit of kind of scoring clout, even if it didn't really have that much effect. Even if Strickland kind of climbed up off the fence, I think
Right.
it really just went to the fact that there was just a lot more wrestling, and at some point Strickland didn't get out of his bag. When he did try to get a little bit more offensive, like his corner told him, that was when I think Drickus, I can't remember if it was a helicopter punch or what, wherever it was though. DDP, he just got Strickland in the eye really bad, and it was kind of over from there. I think a lot of his defense just kind of went out the window there, and it just opened the door for more of those takedowns. Which if I'm scoring it, politics aside, I'm just saying look, we saw more wrestling. It felt like Strickland was on the back foot, even though he really wasn't. He was just picking his shots way better. But it's just perception of this onslaught. And, DDP's not letting up. He's just everywhere, and so I understand it. The culture warriors are gonna hate it, but I get it. And it's just if I'm Strickland, I'm looking at this tape. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I can't do the same thing that I do with Adesanya, because Adesanya, I mean, he's longer. He's a long fighter. So it's if you stand in range of somebody like that, and you're not necessarily moving out of range, you can just jab them to death. Yeah, they're gonna be uncomfortable, a long fighter, but somebody like DDP that literally will throw an overhand point blank in elbow range, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, and I think this was one of the things Strickland brought up, that he felt he got headbutted in the fight. And here it is right here. I don't think it was anything intentional or anything like that, but it cut him. You can see him wipe it right after that. It hurt him, and it probably did affect him a lot, even his vision, everything like that. So maybe a little bit of a miss there. But overall, Dana White himself said that he felt Strickland probably won it, that he would have given it 3-2 to Sean Strickland, but that everybody else that was sitting with him thought that DDP won it. So it's just one of those where it depends. When you get 6 takedowns, right? When you're Drickus, you get 6 takedowns, and you are the only person that has any amount of control on the ground for that fight. Strickland doesn't get a single one. That is going to make a difference, depending on how some people are going to judge it. To me, I feel like it's tough to take a championship away from somebody when it's that close. And I feel like Strickland probably should have had it. But it's not one of those where I felt he's robbed or anything like that. I felt it was a really good fight. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see Strickland within the next, year and a half or whatever, have another shot. But I do think the next time we see him fight, it's going to be in Africa against Israel Adesanya.
Oh, yay. We get another cringe real African presser.
Yes.
Good God.
Somebody's
got to save us from Adesanya, man. I thought this was going to be kind of the end, that, his legacy run, we wouldn't have to see any more of that crap. But now it just seems like we're sort of destined for it. And I knew it. I was like, man, Adesanya is probably clutching his dog with anticipation as he watches this. That's a little bit of an insider for those that don't know about Adesanya and the dog stuff. But yeah, oh God, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think, I don't think a lot of people thought Sean Strickland was going to beat Adesanya, at 293 or whenever that was that he beat him. But he was, and I think a lot of people were questioning if he was going to be able to get this fight. So it was close. I think he should feel okay about how he fucking performed. He said in the ring, he gave credit to him. He said, I think I fucking won, but maybe I'm just being a pussy. But Sean Strickland certainly will still have an impact on UFC. This dude is one of the most entertaining people, obviously, because he speaks his mind. And in the UFC, you can actually do that. And speaking of that, we need to talk about what Dana White said in the aftermath. Obviously, Sean Strickland has been getting a lot of headlines for giving his opinion when asked about things by the media. It's funny that the same mainstream media who praises athletes when they, go all in on Black Lives Matter or on transing kids or whatever, hot button political talking point that happens to align with their side, they don't want people speaking out when they don't agree with them. And Dana White specifically was asked about, letting Sean Strickland speak and giving people a leash. And Dana White, in typical Dana White fashion, unloaded. Video I don't tell another fucking human being what to say. Dana White defends free speech after Sean Strickland rant. And we do have this clip that you can see, and we're gonna let this play.
Dana, I just want to go back. You were talking about, like, you obviously give a long leash to your fighters about, what they can say when they are up there with the UFC microphone, and you are getting into territory of homophobia, transphobia. Like, is there?
I don't give anybody a leash.
Well, I'm saying you.
A leash?
Like
free speech. Control what people say. Going to tell people what to believe. Going to tell people. I don't fucking tell any other human being what to say, what to think, and there's no leashes on any of them. What is your question?
I was asking that question. I'll move on, though.
Yeah, probably a good idea. That's ridiculous to say I give somebody a leash. Free speech, brother. People can say whatever they want and they can believe whatever they want. And I don't think there's any. We had two gay women who fought in the co-main event. They sat on the stage with Sean Strickland. They could give a shit what Sean Strickland thinks or what he says or what his beliefs are or what his opinions are. You know what I mean?
And that co-main event, it was a bad fight, by the way, just for the record. But that's the thing. Like, Dana White has made it crystal clear that people can, say or think whatever they want to when it comes to here. I might not agree with what they say, but they can say it even if I don't agree with what they say. And that's what it's about. And that's why UFC is so fucking different than any other of these sports leagues right now. And Dana White continues to wipe the floor with these people. What do you guys think about Dana White going off?
That's why he's the best commissioner in sports, man.
Yep. I mean, if this was the NBA, man, Sean Strickland would have been banned for the season for the stuff he says.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, he would have been fined in any other league.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. Oh man, yeah. Dana White, he's definitely got the Elon Musk playbook. He found out that, hey man, people like to be able to say what they say. Like, it makes more people want to actually, come and see what you're doing. And honestly, you kind of need that if you're going to actually bring new eyes to the sport. Last time we had a character as dynamic as Sean Strickland. And a lot of the MMA faithfuls will hate me for saying this, but it was Conor McGregor, just somebody that can just draw people from outside the sport to the sport. And it's like, you really do need another guy like that, but you're not going to get that if everybody just going up to the press conference. Yeah. So I think it's going to be a good fight. Honestly, I have more faith in my takedown ability, but I respect your striking. Like, you're not going to get that shit if that's all you have going on. So yeah, let them say whatever the hell they want. I want people to go out and say off the wall shit, nonstop.
Cael Sonnen walked so that McGregor and Strickland could run.
I can't let you get close. Man, I
can't
love
let you
that.
get close when he's in fucking flip-flops.
And then for obviously with Conor is very much a WWE type of personality, that type of professional wrestling energy, bringing it to it in promotion, all of this stuff. Sean Strickland has that, but he's also got this entire culture war aspect behind it as well.
Yeah.
Right. Coming out, speaking to Canadians, all of these things that are going on. And that the reason it's happening is because, one, Dana White allows people to say whatever the fuck they want. If you want to go out and wear a Black Lives Matter hat, he's okay with people going out and wearing MAGA hats too, unlike every other sport out there. But also because the media just can't stand it. The activist media can't stand that he has that opinion, so they have to constantly pepper him with questions about it, constantly try to bring it up at the fight previews, and then even ask Dana White why he allows that to happen. And Dana even, he elaborated a little bit more later on, where somebody asked him, do you worry about fighters getting offended by what they say? He's like, it's the fucking fight game. If you're going to get offended, guess what? People are going to take shots. We're trying to promote fights here, guys. If you're not strong enough, if you get offended by something like that, maybe it's not for you. So Dana White just skewers another one of these fucking woke pussy reporters who can't stand that one athlete might have an opinion that they don't agree with.
Exactly. And this couldn't have been better PR for Dana White. Let's be honest. There are probably a bunch of people that are going to be watching now because they're like, oh, I hear the fighters say off the wall shit. And there was actually one UFC event. I cannot remember what, but the F slur was dropped literally by all 4 of the final fights. Everybody was just getting up. I think that was a Sean Strickland versus Adesanya card right there, man. It was like everybody was just going calling people the F word, the F word for like no reason. I was like, dude, this is based as all, I'm like, dude, holy crap, red and base field. What the hell are we doing here?
Yeah, for sure. And I get that there's like some people who probably don't even know anything about Dana White other than like a clip they see here or there. And then the whole Bud Light thing happens. They think, I can't believe he sold out. It's like, well, first of all, the parent company for Bud Light is the same one as the parent company for Modelo, which has been their sponsor for the past several years. So again, a lot of people don't even fucking understand that, but they get all bent out of shape for whatever. But same thing, like Dana White is backing and promoting Sean Strickland, who has fucking trashed Bud Light like over and over again because he doesn't care. Like he fucking does not care about that. So it's fucking awesome. And I love what UFC is doing and continues to do. On that note, another thing happened at the UFC fight, that obviously takes into play things that Sean Strickland said about Canada, about Justin Trudeau, about all of this shit. He went hard on Canadians and that Canadian reporter in that clip that went viral. But apparently a lot of people who went to UFC share his thoughts. Political chants erupt at UFC 297, an intersection of sports and politics. UFC fans are definitely not fond of Justin Trudeau. Serenade Canadian Prime Minister with "Fuck Trudeau" chant. This was glorious at 297. Listen to this. And then even had Joe Rogan, who is doing his reaction to it, right? He does a reaction to what they're chanting here.
I mean, fuck Trudeau. I was at the UFC yelling "fuck Trudeau." Love it.
Is that Brendan Schaub said I love
it? Yeah. Canada, Canada, get your together. Come back to what you used to be.
And again, you just have to reiterate that this is solely a UFC thing. Like, it doesn't seem like right now there's any other sports league out there that embraces this kind of thing, that embraces this kind of controversy. It's all just propagating left-wing talking points. But UFC, if you want to be left-wing and push your shit in there, if you're a fighter, like, they're totally fine with it. But they're fine with everything else as well. And really no other sport out there is going to have, the commissioner walk out with Donald Trump, do all of these things, and embrace a section of sports fans that had been pushed away for the last decade in every other sport. And I think that's why we continue to see UFC flourish.
We're at the point in the NBA now where a coach is actually slamming not players, but fans for booing the opposing players. Think about how soft the NBA has gotten.
Soft. Yep.
Yeah, so,
I love it, man. I love it. And you nailed it, Ryan. Like, these are sports fans who have been shunned from other sports organizations, and they're accepted here. They're accepted in the UFC. They can say whatever the fuck they want. It's because the commissioner allows they're told, the fighters can say whatever the fuck they want, and the fans can say whatever they want. They can believe what they want, and that's why UFC's flourishing. You nailed it.
Yeah, man. First off,
go ahead, Malcolm.
I just wanted to say, man, first off, I want to give my condolences, though, for all the Canadians that might have been in the crowd and, just chanting that, because they're definitely going to be disappeared under the cover at night. So, again, you guys, if you're Canadian and you were actually engaging in that chant, good job. But, you might want to go into hiding. But that being said, man, it's just like, it's smart business 101. You're embracing a counterculture that has already been responsible for the death of a lot of businesses. Like we saw it with Sports Illustrated, they put trannies on their covers, not once, but now twice. And now they're suffering the consequences of it, man. They're alienating a lot of people. And so now it's just like, look at what the UFC does. It's novel that we just don't say anything. We just let people be people. Holy crap. That is amazing business. Hire me as CEO. I will make your sports company great overnight. But it's so like obvious, but it's just a testament to how much we've jumped the shark now. And those poor Canuckistanis that were cheering that, man, my heart goes out to them. But you guys, that's a good blow for freedom, man. I think Trudeau needed to hear that.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to try to silence all of them. So RIP, they're not going to be able to buy any more tickets to a UFC event because their bank accounts are going to be frozen in the morning. But that is what it is. But a great event last night, UFC 297. We should I guess, talk about, at least mention Sports Illustrated as well, because Sports Illustrated for 70 years, nearly 70 years, has been pretty iconic. Like, I remember growing up, I used to get Sports Illustrated for kids when I was really young, and then I eventually switched over to actual Sports Illustrated when my dad felt I was like old enough for it or whatever. And I used to anticipate that, fucking getting those covers and seeing who was on the cover, what it would look like. And so many people, like, respected sports journalists, either were associated with Sports Illustrated or that was like their dream to go there. And just like everything else, we've seen them involved in controversy after controversy as readership has plummeted. Whether it's the AI-assisted articles that they were in there for, or, of course, the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition. Something that's been iconic for decades, that you decide to put men on the cover of, right? Transgenders on the cover of, fat fucks on the cover of, right? It's supposed to be like the most beautiful women in the world, like aspired to be part of Sports Illustrated. And you just give it to some fat fucks and some fucking, chicks with dicks. Like, what are you doing to your brand? We've seen it in every aspect of entertainment. But now Sports Illustrated, it looks like everyone is going to lose their jobs there. Like, it's over after they missed a payment to the person who controls their distribution rights. And it looks like it might be over for them.
Yeah, it's over, man. I mean, the writing was on the wall as soon as they started putting those transgenders and obese people. I mean, it's not even plus models that they were really putting on. They had this one lady, she was clearly obese. I believe there's a difference between an obese model and a plus model. What they have done, man,
between plus size and like plus another person's size.
Yeah. Like, for example, like you'll see like Ashley Graham. She's more plus, but she's not like complete obese like the one if you go and search it, it's this white girl with like blonde hair. I'm
on
like,
the beach.
Yeah. I'm like,
she
oh
looks
my
like
God.
a fucking whale.
Yeah,
Man.
it's insane, man. They did themselves in. As soon as they put the trans on it, I was like, oh, they're gonna be done in a few years. They're done.
Yeah,
Man, the days when we had Kate Upton. Kate Upton was like recently, she was the Sports Illustrated swimsuit.
Tyra
And
Banks was just on there like a few years ago again.
And then just a few years later, here we are.
I just wonder why they didn't like get smart and decide to just consolidate it instead of doing either fat fucks or trannies. Why don't you just go get Gorlock and just have like one cover? Like, you literally save money. These people are so dumb. They deserve
that would have been a next step.
Fat fuck and
They
a
deserve
tranny.
to be fired. It's bad.
All in one.
It's so much bad financial sense, but it's just like this was always coming. These people, they're in these boardrooms. They have one source of information, one worldview, and they don't get worldviews from anybody else. They don't understand how like the rest of the world literally hates this shit. Like, it's like, if you think that people want to see trannies or fatties so much, then have a fatty edition or have a tranny edition and see how well that shit sells.
I can
Spoiler
safely
alert,
say there is
that wouldn't be
no
inclusive,
market for
Malcolm.
transgenders on their side. There's zero market for that.
Yeah, exactly. Guess what? The core reading base, the people who bought the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition were dudes. Right back in our day, it was the fucking dads who would probably put it under the bed so the wife didn't see it or like whatever. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with any of this other shit. And all you're doing by putting a man on the cover of that is driving away your core audience. Yeah. And that's what they've done.
Yep. But I'm pretty sure that ESG scores are pretty high.
Yeah, man,
Yeah, the bank account's low.
Yeah, I know. It's so funny because everybody says go woke, get broke. It's really that you start going broke, then you get woke to save yourself from going broke and get that ESG cast. And eventually, it's like you fall anyways, like you croak anyways. Shout out to Razorfish for that one. But it's like that's literally where Sports Illustrated was headed. Because I mean, let's be honest. Why do you even need to buy that when you can literally just go and hit a few buttons on your magical Googles, on your little cellular device that does everything else except for do calls, right? And look at actual chicks and not have to worry about, oh crap, there's a D in there, or oh crap, she's like, she's worth three plane tickets at American Airlines or something. Like, you don't have to worry about that. You can look for what you want. So they were dying anyways, basically.
Joseph, I don't know if you're talking about the people on the panel. I don't really know what the fuck you're talking about. It would be ironic if you are, because both myself and John actually were in the Navy. So, I mean, you'd be retarded if you are talking about us. So,
are you retarded?
Yeah, just for the record. Anyway, Lord Botha for 5. With a women's hockey league, they're going to have blood on the ice, even if there's no fighting. Yeah, could be.
Damn.
They're going to sync up. Chris Coran for 2. Worst Bucks loss I went to. You're welcome, Ryan. Yes, Chris Coran invited me. He's like, we got playoff tickets to go see Brady and the Cowboys. I'm like, fuck yes. And they just got raped. Like, they just got destroyed. I did get to see what's his name miss like 4 extra points, which is like first time that's ever happened in history. So guess I got to see something. Yanks fan for 199. Fucking Drake shaking my head. Yes, the Drake curse for Sean Strickland. Bert for 199. Strickland robbed because DEI wanted an African to win. I don't know if they would want a South African to win. That wouldn't work with what they want. Let's see. Taker for 2. Does Harbaugh land with Chargers, you think?
Looks that way.
All signs seem to be pointing to that, but I don't. Dude, he's walking into Justin Herbert, and a very talented roster. I think that's the kind of the perfect storm to go into and be immediately successful.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know what their contracts look like for a lot of their guys. Like, I don't know how long you're going to be able to keep Bosa and so you got Bosa, you've got what's their freaking safety's name? Who's it's
Derwin James.
Derwin James, who's fucking an incredible talent. And then obviously you got Herbert, who just got paid as well. I don't know what Austin Eckler's contract looks like, or if he's getting to the point where they're ready to let him go. So yeah, but you definitely got pieces there, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, man. Spanos is, he's gonna open the pocketbook for this time. Like, I know we give him shit for being cheap, but nah, this time he wants to spend spending.
Money. Yep, he wants to spend money. He's tired of being the little sister to or the little brother to the Rams. He's sick of it.
Yeah, this would be the only time in his life he's opened his wallet. So that would be it would be shocking to everybody, but maybe they think that that's what they need to do. And I think. Oh, hold on. Mick Walsh for 2. Chance towards Trudeau Castro makes me happy. Yes, makes me happy too. With that being said, guys, we've been going for almost an hour and a half. We're going to end it here. Couple big games. First one starts at 3. I think that's when Buccaneers and Lions play, and then 6 or 6:30 for Bills Chiefs. So
yes, sir.
Enjoy those games. Oh, Craig Morning for $10. I was a pro boxer for 10 years. That Strickland Duplessis fight was a travesty. 100% fixed by Canadian judges. Wasn't even close. Duplessis looked like his head got run over by a car. I'm livid. Yeah, but that's not. Striking isn't the only thing in UFC fights. That's, again, that's part of it. So I think that Strickland should have won. I don't think it's some kind of highway robbery. And trust me, Dana White says that he thought Strickland won, but he also, a couple other people around him, thought that Duplessis won. If he thought it was an abomination, he would tell you. Dana White has been there before in press conference saying it was a fucking sham and that it was bullshit and that somebody got robbed. So he's not afraid of saying that.
That was when Pimblett, right? Patty Pimblett?
Might be,
when he won and he said that was a fucking sham.
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah.
But I hear what you're saying, Craig, but it's tough to balance the takedowns and what you're doing at the takedowns and how much control you have with the takedowns. And when Sean doesn't attempt one all night, it's an interesting fight to judge. So I still think that you need to do more than DDP did to take the championship away from someone. But I don't think it's like highway robbery, not to me anyway. But you're certainly not alone though in feeling that, Craig. Anyway, Malcolm, thanks for joining us, man. What do you got going on, and where can people follow you?
Well, guys, you can follow me on the one site that currently has not banned me off, which is X. And so, again, fingers crossed there, knock on wood, knock on double wood. But, everything's going pretty well there. So follow me at Malcolm_Flex48. And, just lock in for some more hot takes, man. I talk about everything: politics, sports, man culture, you name it.
Nice.
There you go. Hell yeah, man. Thanks for joining us. Fear the Beardo, what do you got going on?
Yes, sir. Just some football games today, pumping out more content for Sports Wars, and, some weekly gaming streams over on my channel, Fear the Beardo. All social medias are public, so go find me on there.
There you go. And John Matrix from Black and White Sports, what do you guys got going on?
Same old thing, man. Same old thing. Videos coming, watching football, and that's pretty much it.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us. Really good stream. We had a lot of people watching over here on YouTube and a decent little crowd over on Rumble. Faux Peasy over on Rumble says the takedowns are shit, though. He took him down, Strickland got right back up, all but maybe one time. Takedowns without control or damage shouldn't be high scored. Well, it also depends on what scoring formula they're using, which they introduced that new UFC scoring formula like 2 years ago, where takedowns do actually count as lost points for the opponent. That's not the type of scoring they were using here. But what I will say is it's just going to depend on the judge and if they feel like it was an effective takedown. And again, it wasn't like he was on the ground a ton. I think overall in the fight, Duplessis was credited with like 2.5 minutes of control for those takedowns, and Sean didn't have any. Sean certainly had more significant strikes, but he was also pretty bloody, maybe because of that headbutt that got missed by people. And again, I don't think that was intentional. I think that was pretty incidental head contact, but I do think it had a big effect on the fight itself. All right, that is it for us. We appreciate the hell out of all you guys, and we will talk to you later.